Hello and welcome to another video from the 10 a day series. Today we are going to discuss 10 questions from functions. Now this is in continuation to the series that has been going on. So if you haven't checked the previous videos, do have a look at them and I am sure you are going to benefit from that. If you are liking our content, do not forget to leave a like on the video and just stay subscribed to this channel for more wonderful content. Also, if you like the way in which I teach, do check out the programs, the Power Prep and the Mastery programs, which will help you irrespective of whichever level of preparation you are at, and they will help you crack CAT 2025. So have a look at this question and then we can have a look at the solution that will follow. So in this question, we have f of x equals mod of x minus a plus mod of x minus 2a plus mod of x minus 3a and a is greater than 0. Now we have to understand one thing, that if we have to figure out the minimum value of f of x, it basically means that there are 3 points that are available on the number line. One point is a, the other point is 2a and the third point is 3a. Now if all these 3 people decide to meet at one place, what point will they decide to meet on? So if let's say everybody decides to meet at a, now this person will have to cover 2a minus a, that is a amount of distance. This person will have to cover 3a minus a, that is 2a distance. So all 3 of them together will have to cover 3a worth of distance. But if they decide to meet at this person's place, let's say, then this person will have to travel a units, this person will have to travel a units. Together they will be able to cover this entire distance by covering 2a units. So the idea is for them to meet at this particular position, which will kind of reduce the distances from a to a and 3a in this particular context. So what we have to do is, we have to figure out for what value of x will we get the minima. X will be minimum, or f of x will be minimum when x equals to 2a. And what is going to be the minimum value? It is also going to be 2a, because both of these people will have to cover a each, which means that cumulatively they will have to cover 2a. So the correct answer here is option D, m equals 2a and b equals 2a. Now have a look at this question and then you can have a look at the solution. Now a1, a2 and so on till an are n integers such that a1, a2, a3, the product of them is equal to 1. Then which of the following must be true? Now the options here tell us about the minimum value if n is odd, if n is even, if n is even. So let's look at that case when n is odd. If n is odd, then what is going to happen? I need the product to be 1, which means that I will need 2 copies, or we will need an even number of copies of odd or of minus ones rather. So because everything here is going to be either plus 1 or minus 1, that is what we know here. And because the product is equal to 1, I should have an even number of minus ones here. So let's say for example, there are 5 numbers that we are talking about here. Now if there are 5 numbers here, what can we say are those 5 numbers? If I want to find the minimum value of their sum, I will have to take as many negative numbers as is possible. So I am taking 4 negative numbers and I am taking 1 positive number. The product of these is going to be 1, because negative, 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 negative will give us a positive number. But what about the sum? The sum in this case is going to be minus 4 plus 1, that is minus 3. So what is the minimum sum? Is it minus of n minus 1? So in this case n was 5. 5 minus 1 would have been 4. Minus 4 is definitely not possible. So A is not true. What if n is even? Let's say there are 4 numbers that are there in this particular context. Now what can happen to these 4 numbers? I need an even number of minus 1s that are there. So I can have all 4 numbers to be minus 1. In which case our total is going to be equal to minus 4, and if there are n numbers where n is even, the total is going to be equal to minus n. That is the minimum value that I am going to get. So the minimum value can definitely not be n minus 2. It cannot be n minus 2 in this case, right? It cannot be 4 minus 2 or 2. It can be lower than that. It can be minus n as well. It cannot be 2 minus n, because 2 minus 4 again is going to be a slightly larger number compared to minus n, because we are adding 2 to it. So again, this is not our answer. So the answer here is option D, that is none of these. If n is even, then the minimum value is going to be minus n, and if n is odd, it's going to be minus of n minus 2. So that is something that you can derive. If you are not able to understand this, let me know in the comment section. But it's a fairly straightforward question if you take values and solve it. Now try this question. Again, it's a very interesting question, and if you know the basics of functions, you should be able to handle this well. You have to find the maximum value of this. Now 5 minus, this is a non-negative number and this is also a non-negative number, because modulus can never be less than 0. So I am trying to subtract 2 numbers that are non-zero from 5. So my answer has to be less than 5. That is something that I have to know. Even if it's the maximum value, this can never be negative, which basically tells me that if these two are equal to 0, then my answer will be 5. But the answer can never be equal to infinity. So what you have to understand is what exactly is this. So if I am looking at this particular bit, I am going to see this. Now, if you have seen the previous question, you would have realized by now that we are talking about some point there which is at or the distance that needs to be covered if someone is present at -1 and 3. So if someone is present at -1 and other person is present at 3, if they have to meet, where should they meet, or what exactly is the cumulative distance that will be minimum for the two of them. So let's say they decide to meet at this person's house. So from -1 to 3, they will have to cover 4 units. One person will have to cover 4 units, the other person will not have to travel. If this guy wants to go here again, this person will have to travel for 4 units. If they decide to meet, let's say at 0, this person has to travel 3 units, this person has to travel 1 unit. Again, cumulatively, they will have to travel 4 units. So whatever you do, the minimum distance that they have to cover cumulatively will be 4 units, because of which the minimum value of this is going to be 4, and that's why the maximum value of this is going to be 5 minus 4, that is equal to 1. So the correct answer here is option A, that is 1. Now try to look at this particular question. If 3 positive real numbers x, y and z are in an AP such that x into y into z equals 4, then what will be the minimum value of y? So in this case, we know that, let's say x is equal to y plus or y minus d, let's say. Y is equal to y itself and z is equal to y plus d. So let's say there are these 3 numbers, y minus d, y and y plus d. And we know that the product is equal to 4. Now because we have these 3 numbers, we can say that x plus y plus z, and because these are positive real numbers, we can say that their arithmetic mean is going to be greater than or equal to their geometric mean. So x plus y plus z divided by 3 is going to be greater than or equal to cube root of x multiplied by y multiplied by z. But what is x plus y plus z? Y minus d plus y plus d. D and minus d will get cancelled out. I will be left with 3y divided by 3, that is y itself. Or in other words, the arithmetic mean of these 3 numbers has to be the middle number because they are in an AP. So y will be greater than or equal to cube root of 4 because x, y, z has been given to us as 4. So y will be greater than or equal to 2 raised to 2 divided by 3. So what is the minimum value that y can take? Y will always be greater than or equal to 2 raised to 2 by 3. So minimum value is 2 raised to 2 by 3. Option B is the correct answer. Now let's have a look at this question. What is the least value of this? Now if you know how to draw the wavy curve, it will make your life much easier. So let me show you how exactly a wavy curve looks. So here I am going to have these 4 numbers. So I have a 2 that is present, I have a 4, I have a 6 and I have a minus 6. Now these are the roots of this expression because at minus 6 it will become 0, at 6 it will become 0, at 4 it will become 0, at 2 it will become 0. Now because the coefficient of x is positive in all the cases, if you take sufficiently large values of x, you will get a graph that will come like this. Now at x equal to 6, it will of course be equal to 0. But what will happen after that? Because the power is odd, it will cross over to the next side. Now again it will go to 4. At 4, if you look at it, the power is even, so it will stay on the same side. What will happen at 2? Because the power is odd, it will again cross over to the other side. And at minus 6, because the power is odd again, it will cross over to the other side. So what can we say about the least value of this expression? It can go on till negative infinity. So 6, 4 by 3, 4 will not be our answer. So our answer is again option D, which is none of these, which will tell us that the least value of this expression is going to be minus infinity. That is something that we have to understand. So if it becomes sufficiently negative, if you look at say minus 10 for that matter, you are going to get a negative number here. Minus 10 minus 6 will be negative. Minus 10 plus 6 is again going to be negative. So in this particular case, even if this is positive, I have 3 negatives here. So I can easily get negative values. None of the options is a negative number. So definitely it has to be none of these. Try to look at this question and then we can have a look at the solution. Now you have to understand that x square into y cube is equal to 6 and we want to find the minimum value of the sum. So we will have to use the property of AM is greater than or equal to GM. Now I know that this is 3x and 4y, but I need x to be multiplied with each other twice and y to be multiplied with each other, which itself thrice. So what will I do? I will split 3x into 2 parts. So I will say let my first term be 3x by 2. Let my second term be also 3x by 2. The total of this is 3x rather. And let me split 4y into 3 equal parts. So 4y by 3 plus 4y by 3 plus 4y by 3. Now these are the 5 terms that I have. So I'll divide this by 5. This has to be greater than or equal to the 5th root of 3x by 2 multiplied by again 3x by 2 multiplied by 4y by 3 multiplied by 4y by 3 multiplied by 4y by 3. This is what we are going to get. Now I'll be able to cancel out 2 3's from the numerator. I'll be able to cancel out a 4 from the numerator. So what will I be left with? 3x by 2 plus 3x by 2 is basically what we need to find out. So 3x plus 4y divided by 5 is going to be greater than or equal to fifth root of this. Fifth root of what? Let's just simplify this. Fifth root of x square y cube into 4 into 4, that is 16. So 16x squared y cubed divided by 3. This is what is left here. But I know that x square into y cube is 6. So instead of this, I will put a 6. 3 2s are 6. Fifth root of 32 is going to be equal to 2. So I will be able to get 3x plus 4y by 5 is greater than or equal to 2. Therefore, 3x plus 4y has to be greater than or equal to 10. The minimum value that it will be able to take is option A, that is 10. Let's try this question now. The least value of 1 by x plus 1 by y plus 1 by z for this particular expression that we have, satisfying the condition x plus y plus z, right? So x plus y plus z equals 9. That is what we need to satisfy. So what is the least value of 1 by x plus 1 by y plus 1 by z that exists? Now you have to understand one thing, because all of them are positive in nature. X plus y plus z is equal to 9. I need to find the least value of this. So let's say I try to separate the numbers as much as I can. Let's say I take one number as 7, one number as 1 and the third number as 1. Now what will be the sum here? 1 by 7 plus 1 by 1 plus 1 by 1 is going to be 2 and 1 by 7. So it's a sufficiently large number. So if I want to minimize this sum, let's say I do 1 by 6 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 1. Let's say I split this as 6, 2 and 1. Now what am I going to get? So I am going to get 1 plus 1 by 2 plus 1 by 6. So this will be nothing but you can say 2.14 approximately, you can say. What about this one? I'll get 1.5 plus 0.16. So I am going to get 1.66 approximately. So you can see that as these numbers start getting closer, the sum becomes lower and lower. I want to find the least value, which will happen when all three of them are equal to each other. So I will have to take x equals y equals z equals 3, and the least value of the sum is going to be 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 plus 1 by 3 equals 1. So option D here is the correct answer. Try this question again. It's a very interesting question. So try this. So in this case, I know that this entire thing is equal to 0. So I can say that this inner value or the expression that is there should be equal to 0, because even if I remove the modulus, the value has to be equal to 0. So I will be able to say that mod of x minus 2 minus 3, the modulus of this should be equal to 1 if this inner part is equal to 0. So I will be able to see x minus 2 minus 3 is equal to either plus 1, or I will get mod of x minus 2 minus 3 equals minus 1. Now I will be able to say that x minus 2 is equal to 3 plus 1, that is 4, or mod of x minus 2 equals 3 minus 1, that is 2. So I will be able to say that x minus 2 is equal to plus 4, or x minus 2 equals minus 4, because this could be minus 4 as well, modulus of which will be plus 4, or I will be able to say x minus 2 equals 2, or I will be able to say x minus 2 equals minus 2. So I am going to get the value of x as 4 plus 2 6, minus 4 plus 2 is minus 2, minus 2 plus 2 is 4, and in this case it will be equal to 0. So I am going to get 4 values of x wherein this equality will be true. So the correct answer is option D, that is none of these. Now try this one and then have a look at the solution. I want to find the least value of this expression. Now this expression might look complicated, but let's try to simplify this. So I am going to get twice log x by log 10, some common base, let's say we keep, minus I am going to get log of 0.01, that is 10 raised to minus 2, divided by log of x. Now this minus 2 will come here and it will become plus 2 times log 10. So I am going to get twice log x by log 10 plus 2 log 10 by log x. That's what I'm going to get. So in this particular case, if I take 2 common, I'm going to get something in the form of y plus 1 by y, wherein y is positive because log of 10 is going to be 1 and log of x is going to be a positive number because x is greater than 1. So I will be able to say that I have to minimize the value of y plus 1 by y to find the least value of this expression. What is the minimum value that y plus 1 by y can take? Now this is the theoretical concept. It will be 2. You can also prove it using am greater than or equal to gm. So y plus 1 by y will be greater than y into 1 by y, the square root of that. So we will be able to say that y plus 1 by y is going to be greater than or equal to 2. So the least value that can be taken by this is going to be 2. So the least value of the expression is going to be 2 times 2, that is 4. So the correct answer here is option A, that is 4. Let's have a look at this particular question now. P, Q, R and S are 4 positive real numbers and we have to find the minimum value of the sum. Minimum value of the sum tells us that we are going to use AM greater than or equal to GM. So in this particular case, let's say the first term is P by Q because all of them are positive. Each term is also going to be positive. P by Q plus Q by R plus R by S plus S by P divided by 4. This is going to be greater than or equal to the fourth root of P by Q multiplied by Q by R multiplied by R by S multiplied by S by P. But you will be able to see that you will get all the terms getting cancelled out. So this will be fourth root of 1 or 1 itself. Now this 4 will go here and will become like this. So whatever is the sum that we are supposed to find out, it has to be greater than or equal to 4. So the minimum value of the sum that we are trying to look at is going to be 4, and that is also going to be the answer to this particular question.